All right, another day down, guys. Another day down. Just got out of class with the homies. Today is Friday. I want to say today is Friday, May 15th, I believe. And just got out of class today. Earlier I worked today. I actually went into work today. Some days I work from home. Some days I go into work. Today I went into work. Came home, and then I went off to jiu-jitsu class today. Today is a beginner class with a lot of beginners. Obviously, white belts, blue belts. But I'm a brown belt. I like to go anyway, just because it's in my schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same time. This class is the only class during the week that happens to be a beginner's class at this time. But for me, it's in my schedule, and it's a good class because it's basics. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about is going to class and learning the basics, like you can never get enough of those classes, Actually, I prefer those classes because that's really the stuff that I'm using every day is those basic skills, those basic techniques that are taught by our teacher in that class. What he was teaching today was headquarters positions. He taught us a knee slide from that position, knee slide into side control, and he taught us a back step from headquarters into side control. So those were the two techniques that we were learning today from my coach. He's a newer coach. I couldn't even tell you his name. Brazilian guy, young guy. I can tell he's good just by when I feel his technique. I can tell he's really good, and that's pretty much how class went. We did the technique, and then he taught and then we did King of the Hill from headquarters after that. So it was me, a big ass white belt, and a blue belt. One of my homies, John, who's a blue belt. Sometimes I hang out with him outside of work. He's a cool dude. So that was pretty much how that went. Got to hang out with those guys and work on that technique. And then afterwards, there's this green belt kid. I can't tell you his name. I don't know why I don't know his name. I talk to him almost every class that I see him in. And he's one of those kids who, after every class, he's coming up to you, hey, what do you think I could have done better? What do you, how do you think, how do you think my triangle feels? Why is it that everybody's escaping it? How did you get out of this? How did you get out of that? And do you ever have a pet white belt or a pet lower belt that you feel some like a little brother, like a little homie that you just feel like, man, I like this kid. He's a nice kid. He's a good kid, he wants to learn more. He's respectful to me as an older person. He treats me with respect as a higher belt. And he's always asking questions, trying to learn more. And the funny part is I can tell he's getting good fast. Today, when I rolled with him, was the best he's ever felt, technique-wise. And I was like, oh, you were turning it up today, today you were going crazy. He's like, man, I didn't feel good today. I was like, oh, okay, well. I was like, you did good today, and try to give him some words of encouragement, because we all need that, especially from people we respect and people we admire, and it was the truth, I wasn't lying to him. The kid is really putting in the work, and I was very proud of him, So some of the techniques he was asking about was head and arm choke. He was doing the head and arm choke, but he wasn't getting when you hit the head and arm choke, the guy on top, when you're hitting it, you want your opponent's chin above your shoulder. You really want your shoulder in the throat. So I kind of showed him some ways to kind of manipulate the partner to get their chin up, so you can get under their chin with your shoulder. So when you lock in that head and arm choke, you can finish it. It closes up on the carotid real nice. So that was the mistake he was making with the head and arm choke. And I've been trying to get him good at straight ankle locks. He asked me about straight ankle locks the other day. So every day after class, I tell him, hit me with the straight ankle lock. And today it was incrementally better than the last time. It still needed a little bit of work, but it was incrementally better. So I was proud of him for that. And also, he tried to darce choke me. He tried to like, like when you're in turtle and the guy does like a head and arm, and they try to darce from when you're on all fours and lock it in. Well, I hit him with a sucker choke or a sucker drag before he could lock in his darce, which I learned last week from Mike. Shout out Mike. The sucker drag worked, brother. I mean, it worked against a green belt, but it worked, like that's how you start. You start hitting it on the white belts, the green belts, then you try to hit it on a blue belt and a purple belt and so on, but I've been working on that one, and it's been working really well. So I was proud to see that worked. I've been showing that one to all the white belts and the green belts now, because it was getting hit on me so frequently by Mike that I was curious, and I knew it worked because he was hitting it on me. So it's like, dude, I want to show these guys the stuff that works, like if you can get one or two moves from every position, as like a green and white belt, then I consider you probably ready for your blue belt at that point. So yeah, that's how jiu-jitsu went today, man. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. I don't know what it is about today, but I haven't been feeling like the most upbeat today. I had some coffee in the morning, and I think it's giving me anxiety all day. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna probably not have any coffee and see if I feel any better. Having coffee lately, because I've been trying to quit, is making me feel like really like anxious all day, and I can't really relax. And so I don't really like that feeling that it's giving me, but for some reason I have an addiction to it. I have an addiction to the caffeine that I just can't seem to get rid of, so that's something that I'm working on. Today in politics, I know Trump came home from China. I don't know what he did there. I don't know what kind of deals they made. I haven't really heard anything about it per se, but I know he's back. Nothing too crazy must have gone on, because I really haven't heard of any news per se. The one thing I did hear about though was that he gave permission for China to buy NVIDIA chips. If you don't know, he stopped China from being able to buy NVIDIA chips or our semiconductor chips, and so I don't know if it was him or Biden, but one of them stopped them from being able to buy our semiconductor chips. Now, the problem with that is that they're going to just start making their own, right? So the reliance they would have had on us for semiconductors, well, since they started this, they don't have any reliance on us for semiconductors anymore. So you have to ask yourself, what does China need us for anymore? We need them for everything. We need them for all of our products. We need them for precious metals. We need them for a ton of stuff, right? What do they get from us except our money, because we buy their products. So our consumers they get, but they're learning how to be self-sufficient. They're learning how to get their own oil. They're learning how to get their own precious metals. They're going to be building their own semiconductors, and they're really trying to be a self-sufficient country, which is smart. That's what we should be doing. We should be weaning off all these other countries and producing things here. That was a big mistake we made, stop producing goods in our country. We produce services, but we don't produce goods like that, really. We have some oil, and I don't know what else we sell. I'm sure we sell some farm, like some food. But really stupid, man, because they relied on us for that, and it was good to have them on the hook for that. That's a piece of leverage that we had on them, So once we stop that, then they're like, okay, well, if they can just cut us off from this, anytime they decide, well, they can cut us off from oil, they can cut us off from anything, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to become self-sufficient. They're going to make alliances with people in their own hemisphere, and and they're going to produce whatever they need without us. So, from my understanding, they said, "Oh yeah, you know, you can buy our chips," and they said, "Well, we don't really need your chips anymore. We're making our own chips now." That was my understanding. Either that, or they just haven't come back and said, "Okay, well, here's an order of chips. Thank you for, you know, thank you. We will buy some chips." They haven't bought any chips. Let's just say that. So it's just like we're looking weaker and weaker and weaker internationally, and it's pretty insane, to be quite frank, how we're looking. You know, I don't want to talk too much about it because, you know, I want to stay positive, you know, and believe that, you know, things are going to turn out for the best. But that was really the only thing in the news that's worth mentioning as far as politics is concerned. I haven't really heard too much about anything else going on lately. Glad Trump made it home safely, though. I'm glad everything went okay. It doesn't sound like there was any like faux pas or anything that went too crazy. And so, in that sense, it was a good trip. The other thing I'll mention is I don't know if they talked about Iran or how, you know, what deals are going to be made with Iran, or how, you know, who's going to be selling missiles to Iran, and, you know, what alliances are going to be had. I don't know. I'm sure they must have talked about it, but I haven't heard any news on it as far as, you know, what the outcome of those discussions were. You know, sounds to me like China wants peace, and sounds like we don't. So I think that's kind of where they left it, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there, you know. But that's pretty much it, guys. Today's Friday. I'm just gonna lay back and relax. My girl's making me dinner. This weekend I'll probably just lift some weights and hang out and try to relax a little bit. Try to let my body recuperate for the week, and then we'll just do it all over again next week. All right, so thank you guys for checking in, and I'll catch up with you guys next time. Take care.